Okay, now it's time to arrange our block to be able to put it together. So you've got your units. So to make one block, you've got 4 of your corner units. You've got 4 of your side units, and then you'll need 1 of your H blocks or your H squares. So since I'm doing the 2-block version, I have 2 different H squares because in one block, the center will be a different color than the other one. And so for this particular block that I'm making, the center of this block will actually be the terracotta. So I'm actually just going to set this H stack aside because that will be what I use to make my second block. Okay, so the way that I find is really helpful is, like I mentioned in the previous tutorials for this pattern, I will have chain pieced all of these units. So it'll be a big stack that high of this and this. And of course you only need 9 of these. I believe it's 9. If I look back at the pattern, maybe it's 6. It's 6 of these because you're going to have 6 of one block and 6 of the other block for a total of 12. Sorry, I was a little slow there. So what I like to do is I would have everything all stacked up so that I can take it to my sewing machine and sew it all together at the same time. So what you're going to do is, it may be easier for you to lay out your pieces first. I tend to like to keep them on another cutting mat. So this one, I often will stack my pieces on it so I can pick it up and take it over to the sewing machine. I'll put them all on one of these, but I think you can probably see it maybe a little bit better if I leave it like that. Some people have a, I forget what those boards are called. They're like, they've got the batting on them and the batting and the binding around the end of it. It's like a artboard kind of thing. So you're going to go ahead and lay all of these out. Just look at your diagram, all of your units. So here we go. Isn't this fun? This is the fun part. Just setting them all the way around and make sure they're turned the right direction. It can be real easy to get things turned. See, if I had done that, I would have been turned the wrong direction. So it could be easy to accidentally swap those around. And then you'll have to also turn these around as well. All right. And then we're going to add our H to the center. There we go. And that is what our block is going to look like. Now, after we get all our blocks made, we do have sashing that's going to go between each of the rows when we sew it together. And then there is a border that goes around the quilt as well. I don't particularly like borders. I only do if the border is the same color as the background print, so it doesn't really look like a border, but it also allows for space for you not to have, cut off your points or what have you. So anyway, needless to say, these are the units here, and we will be able to sew this row together, this row together, and this row together. And then once you've sewn each of these rows together, you're going to turn this one right sides together on top of this one and sew it together. And then you'll sew this row, flip it up, right sides together on top of this one, and sew this row together. Okay, so you've got this row sewn together, and this one, and then this one. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and place these right sides together like this. You'll sew a 1/4 inch down here. Open that up. That'll be sewn together. You'll take this bottom row, right sides together here, and you'll sew a 1/4 inch across here, and then you will have sewn your block together. All right, there we go. Here is the base block of the Friendship Blooms quilt. So a little tip for you. Hopefully you looked at the pressing instructions. That's really important because If you look at the direction to press, this is the back. Everything, all the seams will nest well if you follow the arrows in the pattern on how to press these rows together. So make sure you do that so everything is really flat on the back and nest well. And then also, I gave this a really good starch and a good press. You want to make sure that all your rows are pressed really flat. And this is a bit firm too. I know you can't feel it, but it's a bit firm because you're going to be appliquing your Friendship Blooms flower on here. So this is the template. I haven't cut mine yet. That will be in the next tutorial that goes with this one. And you know, you're going to be stitching this down on top of here. So you want this block to lay really flat for whenever you do that. And of course, that's what it'll look like there. Isn't this so much fun? I hope you're having a great time. I know I am with this video and can't wait to finish all the rest of my blocks for this pattern. So I just want to make sure you understood that tip with pressing really well. I know it's an extra step, but that way everything is just really laid flat and you don't have extra fabric kind of bunched up in your seams here. And I don't know about you, but when I was first actually making the test quilt block, I was worried that I was going to cut off my points. When we had these rows laid out the way we did, if you looked, because this was an HST and we did these the snowball way, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to cut my points off. But after you sew the rows to each other, you can see you did not. There's your seam allowance all the way around. So if you had a freak out moment, don't. It all works out when it comes together. So you have that seam allowance because our sashing will go around that. So that is the base of your Friendship Bloom block. And now in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to actually cut out the template and make the Friendship Bloom a flower.